It's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Alessandro Giovanni Bartoletti, DMD, FAGD, CFT. The CFT is he is a certified fitness trainer, so I am shocked he came on my show. He's a general dentist in private practice in central Pennsylvania, which is Schaefferstown, Pennsylvania. He was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and spent 1 year of high school in Bologna, Italy. While there, he briefly shadowed his uncle, a general dentist in Bologna. He has been in the dental industry for over 16 years. After graduating from Temple University of Dentistry in 2003, he served on active duty with U.S. Navy. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Howard.
In 2008, he went into private practice as an associate. From 2012 to 2015, he worked full-time as a faculty member at Temple University Kornberg School of Dentistry. And that time, he was director of the AEGD Program, as well as director of several restorative courses, all while working part-time in private practice and being in the U.S. Navy Reserves. He became a partner at his current dental practice in 2015. In 2017, he published the ebook, Don't Go to Dental School, which is available on Amazon for a whopping 99 cents. Additionally, he does school district dental screenings, and he is a fellow in the Academy of General Dentistry. He recently became a certified fitness trainer. He's married to a wonderful wife and has 2 super kids. I had him on the show because, my gosh, when I published that book, I Don't Go to Dental School by you. And, oh my God, the comments were just so hilarious. I don't know if you saw that, but today I updated it. A physician's life goals: become a doctor, marry a doctor, have kids, make them doctors, get them married to a doctor. Dentist life goals: study dentistry, ask your siblings not to study dentistry, ask your friends not to study dentistry, tell everybody not to study dentistry, and then die watching everybody still choosing dentistry. So I got to ask, your book is just amazing. Everyone loves it. What possessed you to write a book, Don't Go to Dental School?
That's a great question. When I started teaching, I'd never really fully checked up on or followed up on the costs of dental school education after graduating. I kind of put that on the back burner. All of a sudden, I get into the teaching arena and I start talking to the students, and I start finding out how much they're paying for dental school. Like, well, this is ridiculous. It's well over twice what we paid for dental school. And it only happened in the span of, at that point, was it 9 years, 10 years, more than double. This is nuts. Why are people subjecting themselves, putting themselves through this kind of burden, especially financial burden, to come out at the other end having to pay most of their paycheck to loans, pay back loans? And so after a while, I said, this is ludicrous. It does not make sense for anybody to go to dental school, really, unless they have certain qualifying features about them or about their background, which would allow them to. So that's why I wrote it. It just doesn't seem like it's feasible anymore to go to dental school, and I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, it's timely that you said this, because right now all over the media, we have a presidential campaign going on, and one of the people running to be the president said that the tax cut would have paid off all the dental student loans. So what do you think would have been better, a tax cut for people like me and you, or paying off all the student loans?
Wow, that's a tough question. I'm glad that you asked it. I mean, for the future generations, if you're thinking positively or altruistically for them, I would say pay off their loans. Let them be loan free and not have to worry about things. But then there are those people who will turn around and say, "Hey, look, we paid for it. Well, why don't we get off the hook? We spent all the money for our education. So where's the benefit for us when, instead of just giving the benefit to other people we sweated, we toiled, and we had to pay for everything all out of our own pockets or pay back the loans that we received." Very, very tough question.
But when you go to these dental schools, like there's 2 in my backyard. I'm in Phoenix. There's one in Mesa, one in Glendale. I mean, it seems like half the faculty only teaches there for one reason, to try to have an advantage that maybe their kid will get in dental school. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, everybody's talking about this USC scandal. I mean, people have been part-time instructors in universities their whole, for centuries, trying to get their kids into school. And the way they're thinking about it, I mean, think about the average net income for dentists. If you're a specialist, you average 320, general practitioner 197. If you're a general dentist, you own your own practice, you're making 244. If you're a dentist who's an employee, 147. I mean, so if they're graduating 284, they're basically paying $284,000 for a six-figure job. Do you think that's worth it, or do you think there's better uses of that money to be like a dentist associate, 147? Or look at it this way: what business could I start up? A plumber, sheetrocker, gardener, where if I own my own dental office, I make 244.
Right.
So, do you think it's a return on investment, or?
I think that it may have used to have been a good return on investment, but now it's becoming sketchy at best and likely not really a really good return on investment, because you have to pay so much back to the loans, given the current structure, that you're not making a great living. You're questionably comfortable. If you're, for example, if you have a family and you're the sole provider, so you got to worry about your loans, then you got to worry about your mortgage, you got to worry about health insurance, and on and on and on and on. By the end of the day, are you saving anything for retirement? Probably not. When all the costs are put together, you're probably not really saving anything for retirement. And then think about the future generation. If you have kids, are you saving money for college for the kids? Either you are, but it's not enough, or you're not saving anything at all.
So, yeah, I mean, I know a personal family member friend where he dropped out of college, started his own construction company, and we're the same age, and he's 10 times richer than I am. I know another kid right here in Phoenix who was a patient of mine, hated his job, dropped out, just went into a simple landscape maintenance for homes. And now we're the same age. He has 5 different crews. He nets $1 million a year. And then you got to figure in the cost of all those years you weren't earning money. So 4 years of dental school, 4 years of college, 4 years of dental school, that's 8. And even though these specialists average 320 net and general dentists are 197, the specialists are going 3 extra years. So by the time, so you got to factor in 10 years of lost income.
Yeah. Right. That's a lot. And that's a huge load of money, especially if at the same time the stock market was on fire. I mean, think of that. If you haven't been putting any money into the markets, you've just been sinking money into education while the markets have been going crazy, you lost out on who knows how much income. So that's another point to kind of throw into the pot.
And I also think it helps me give better advice when I'm talking to dentists from lecturing around the world. And this is not a U.S. problem. It's a global problem. Like I was lecturing in Malaysia, and they always had 2 dental schools. And then out of nowhere, 8 private ones popped up. In India, there's private dental schools everywhere. Brazil, it's unbelievably. So this is a global problem. And in fact, as bad as it is in the United States, I think it's far worse in Asia and Central and South America. I think India, Brazil, Malaysia. I mean, I have podcasted people from those countries on this show that tell me half of their dentist friends have a part-time job in something other than dentistry. So there they are, a dentist in Brazil, and they have a part-time job. So do you see this turning around in the United States at all? Do you see it correcting, or what do you see?
I'm glad you asked that question. Do I see it correcting at all? Probably not, unless we have some sort of major election reform, like where you wipe out all of the debt, student debt. If somebody manages to do that, maybe there will be a change. But otherwise, no, because if you think about it, it's a whole bunch of different factors that created this forest that we are currently walking in. Instead of looking at it as like the trees in the forest, this is a whole bunch of stuff that created a forest. You have the government, which was permissive. it allowed for companies, I guess, to create loans for students. These banks and other companies were able to create these loans for students. They just give the money out because, for example, dentistry is the second least likely business in the United States to fail. So you have a successful model. So, hey, we can keep on giving out money because these guys rarely fail. The only people that are better than us as dentists are chicken farmers. So if dentistry doesn't work out for you, you can go become a chicken farmer and you'll have an even better chance at not failing. So the government was permissive. These companies that created loans and banks, they were permissive and very generous with giving out their money. The students play their own part in this role because they accepted the money. They thought, hey, we could get a good living out of this if we go through the process. We could make a lot of money potentially. So, what's taking some money out if we can make all that money back? But then came the schools. I think the schools are kind of play a very big role in this too, Howard, because all they do is they keep saying, well, these students keep getting these loans. They're not having any problems getting money. Why don't we keep on pumping up the tuitions so that, we keep making money on our own so we can keep, let's face it, they're not necessarily doing anything wrong. They're adding extra technology. They're adding extra, you could say, flash and glitz to make their schools look better. So what they're doing is trying to improve their own school, improve their own, maybe their faculty, et cetera, passing on the cost to the students who are paying the bill through loans. The students are getting more and more loans because they need more and more money in order to attend dental school since the tuition keeps going up. And it's like a cycle that keeps on feeding. So until something happens that breaks that cycle, I don't necessarily think that anything's going to change.
You said that the loans were permissive because the government got involved. I mean, I don't understand where the government is on this because the U.S. Constitution, basically Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4 of the United States Constitution provides the Congress shall have power to establish uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. I can declare bankruptcy from any business I go into, but I can't declare bankruptcy on my student loans. I mean,
well, I'm not sure that they consider student loans a business, like as in a personal loan a business. Even though it relates to business, I don't know if that's why they don't consider it a business.
I just find it odd that the government was guaranteeing these loans while they were passing laws that you can't ever declare a bankruptcy on these student loans. I mean, I don't know. Do you smell a rat in that? I mean, that sounds like a rat marrying a mushroom. I mean, doesn't that sound a little weird to you?
Yeah, of course it does. Then again, the government does weird things. So, I can't explain it, Howard. I can just say that that's the way it is.
Yeah, and another weird thing, like in Arizona right now, the government has licensed all these medical marijuana dispensaries so they can make their profit off it. Meanwhile, there's 800,000 people sitting in jail for selling marijuana.
Marijuana, right.
I mean, so you're sitting in jail for selling it, and you're in jail from a government who's now selling it?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Huh. So you're with dental students right now. When the faculty, what is it like working with a bunch of other faculty when they know you just published a book, Don't Go to Dental School?
Well, the funny thing, I mean, I stopped teaching back at the end of the school year, so end of June of 2015. So it's been a little over 4 years now that I've not been teaching at a dental school. I did get supportive messages from faculty members because I think that they see the same problem. They see the tuition that used to be low, used to be affordable. So people back in the 1970s were paying $4,000 a year. Here we are paying, depending on the school, 60, 70, 80, 114 for tuition per year. It's gone crazy. I'm sure that administrators may not have appreciated it. Maybe some deans didn't appreciate, my book going out into circulation on Amazon. But, I'm not saying that the schools are necessarily doing a bad thing. They're just doing what they're supposed to do based on the current climate and situation. They're taking advantage of a situation. But I can say that it is too expensive. It has become too expensive. The return on investment isn't good enough anymore. And so, for example, if a prospective student would come to me saying, hey, what do you think about dental school? I will say, unless you have a certain set of criteria working in your favor, don't do it. It's simply not worth it anymore.
You know, I've had some dental school deans on the show. One of them was filmed in my house, and they told me, you know, it's just tough. These dental schools that figured out years ago, they would raise their tuition $10,000 a year,
right,
and have no reduction in quality applications. So then they just did it again, and they did it again, and they did it again. And now there's a bunch of them that are over $100,000 a year to go to dental school. So what would you think of telling them to go maybe to a foreign dental school? Like go to dental school in the Caribbean and something like that, and then come here.
That's an intriguing question. The problem becomes, will your degree be recognized here in the United States? So it's a question of state recognition of your dental degree. I mean, will they provide an education that's adequate enough for you to pass any kind of board examination here in the United States? So quality of education there. That can be tricky. I know some people, they used to do that. For example, my father's a radiologist. He immigrated here to the United States back in 1971. He had gotten his medical degree over there at the University of Bologna. And he came here basically on the recommendation of a close friend of his who was an American who was studying medicine in Bologna, Italy, so he could get his medical degree and move back to the United States. So back then, it was worthwhile because there was a form of reciprocity or recognition. So their degree could be recognized. They could then take American board examinations, pass them, gain whatever licensure they needed, and do so pretty easily, apparently. And then my father then went on, did his internship, residency, and then became a radiologist. So back then, way back in the 1970s, maybe through the 80s, it was worthwhile. I guess things changed after that. It got tougher. So I can't tell you exactly when.
You're in middle America. You're out in small town Pennsylvania. You're not in big New York or Philly or whatever. What do you, is this as big a problem for dentists earning income in the small town Americas like where you're at? Or is this more of a problem in New York and Philly and not so much a problem in Schaeferstown, Pennsylvania?
I think that's another excellent question. Income depends upon a local economy as well as a national economy. So where I am, it's quiet, relaxing, peaceful, but you're not going to get giant cases. So if you're hoping to do a whole bunch of fancy dentistry, if you set up a shop around here, you're going to go out of business because you're really not going to get that type of folks, or at least very few of them. Out here, we're treating farmers, we're treating carpenters, we're treating, people of the earth, you could say. And they're great people, but they're going to do things relatively simply overall. If you're hoping for complicated cases, tricked out implant cases, probably better off in the city. Out here, you're going to do very bread and butter dentistry.
What about doing what you did, which was getting a scholarship from the U.S. Navy? Would you, if a kid was in undergrad and he said, when I grow up, I want to be a dentist like you, would you say join the Navy?
You know what? What I'm going to say is that is one of the ways that you can go to dental school. And that's what I mentioned in the book. You can go to, pick the Navy, Army, Air Force. You can get one of their scholarships. Okay, so that's one way to either reduce the costs of dental school or, almost eliminate them entirely altogether. Because, when you get a scholarship from, say, the Navy, there are a couple of different types available. But the one that takes care of the tuition is an absolute godsend, Howard. I mean, think about it. You don't have to worry about a dime of tuition. You have to pick up all the other costs. They give you a stipend. So they give you a stipend. It's not great. It's not huge. You can't pay for every single one of your living expenses, but you can probably pay off a fair amount of it and only have to take on small quantities of loans to get through dental school. And that's true for medical school as well, or other specialties. I think that that's an amazing offer that they have. And if somebody's thinking about going to dental school, I'll tell them, if you're going to do it, if your heart is set on dentistry and doing that in the future for your career, get a scholarship from the military, because that's going to save you an awful lot of money and headaches down the road.
So then you served in the Navy from 2003 to 2008?
Yes.
So
that's correct.
So that's 5 years. I took geometry, and what I did is I took 2008, the cosine of 2000. So what was that like? Did you enjoy being a dentist in the Navy? Was it fun?
I did.
Were the people nice? What was that like?
I enjoyed a lot about it. Meeting the people that were in the Navy was a great thing, Howard. I mean, there are so many fantastic dentists that are in the Navy, friendly people, hardworking, genuinely just great people, great citizens. So I had a good time. I met a lot of lifelong friends that are excellent, not just dentists, but the assistants and the support staff as well. They were fantastic. A lot of them were absolutely super folks. And being in the reserves, there are times where I can, I go for 2 weeks. I get to see some of the former people I worked with. And I did that just a couple months ago when in May, I went for 2 weeks to South Carolina, to Parris Island, where I served for 2.5 years on active duty. And I saw a lot of the same civilian assistants and techs that I worked with. And it was wonderful to see, because, I'd missed them for many years. So I had a wonderful experience in the Navy. I met a lot of good people, saw interesting places. So yeah, again, great option for people who are considering going to dental school and don't want to have gigantic loans.
And you're also still in the Navy Reserves.
Yes, I am.
And so now, are you under contract to still be in the Dentist Navy Reserves, or you just wanted to? You just like it?
I gave it a test run at first just to see what it would be like. And I started back in 2012, and I've been going since. I'm not technically under contract. I am and I'm not. I have a commission with the United States Navy. If I want to get out, I simply resign the commission. I say, hey, I've had enough time to get out because I just don't see this working anymore. But for now, I'm in and I'm still plugging away at it. And when you're about year 14, you got to get to 20 for your retirement and your pension. I'm 70% of the way there, Howard. So I may as well keep on going.
So you're going to do it?
I think so. I don't see why not.
And so what is the Navy Reserve like? Is that one weekend a month, or is that what does that work? Just 1 weekend a month?
It's one weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year. So you have to, again, the weekend a month isn't such a big deal. But if you're a private practice owner, then the 2 week part can get kind of tricky, especially if you're a solo practitioner, because it's either you get somebody to work for you in those 2 weeks, or you shut down your practice for 2 weeks, which is never any good. So that can be a little bit tricky if you're if you're an owner. Now, if you're an associate, that could probably be just fine.
Now you're an owner, but a partner. So it's you. So you're in there with John. So there's two of you. So
yes.
So that 2 weeks a year doesn't matter.
Not right now. No, it doesn't matter. Now, when John decides to retire, and I don't know when that's going to be, that's when he's ready. Hopefully he stays forever. But when he decides to retire, then I'll have to think about what to do. That's probably a few years down the road.
Well, you got to think about a lot. Last time I did jury duty, if I told you this, you won't even believe me. You'll think I'm making up. I got called, and it was a 3-week trial. And when the judge talked to me, I said, "Well, I can't do that. I can't take out 3 weeks." And she said, "Well, you are. So get over it." So I mean, and then there's injuries. I know the person I feel the most sorry for. I know a dentist who had a skiing accident and lost work for a year. And then 5 years later, he did it again. I mean, at least he wasn't at Kennedy and skied into a tree and died. But twice he lost a year. And so it's actually pretty cool I've always been pro partnership or associateship because there's 168 hours in a week. Your customers need you more than 32 hours a week. You double your availability. You split the fixed cost of rent, mortgage, equipment, build out computer, insurance, malpractice, all that stuff. So you double your availability. You cut your fixed costs in half. And you never know when you're going to have an injury, a heart attack, a skiing accident. I've always heard from my friends in the Navy is that their CE, like in Bethesda, that they have that their continuing education is world class. Did you find that to be true?
I did. I found that a lot of the courses that they offered were extremely informative and well run. So their CE is indeed excellent. They also offer correspondence courses for active duty and reservists that are free of charge. So you mail out for a course and a book. They send you the information. You do everything online. You send the book back if it's a textbook that they mail to you, and you get a certificate. You get free CE, which you can apply to your Academy of General Dentistry requirements should you have any. And it's valid for your licensure, so it's valid for your state licensure. And if you're in the Navy and you're a reservist or active duty, you get reserve retirement points.
Now, on the West Coast, I forgot where it was. Is it like it's a real nice place, like Monica?
I've never been to West Coast Navy facilities. I've always been East Coast, or the one stint that I was off of the East Coast was in Japan. So I can't give you much more specific information about the West Coast. I know that usually San Diego is a big Navy center and has Balboa Naval Hospital. I know that's probably a place where they would offer good CE courses.
Yeah, it starts with an M. What is that city? That big city in by San Francisco. It starts with an M. Monta.
I don't.
But anyway, it was just amazing. I mean, I went in there to lecture, and it was also very, very cool because everybody showed up to the lecture in full uniform, and I thought that was there's nothing more classy than a human in uniform. You also were with the AEGD.
Yes, I'm director of the AEGD program at Temple.
Yeah, so a lot of people might not even know what an AEGD program is, Advanced Education General Dentistry Program. What's that, usually a year after dental school? You graduate dental school and you go do this for 1 year for a stipend?
That is correct, yes.
And what is the stipend these days?
That depends on the school and the program. I can tell you that at least at Temple, it's some money. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to be having champagne and caviar, but it'll be enough to kind of pay your bills and get by. So it's not stellar, but it's something.
But how's the training? How's the education?
I'll tell you this. My predecessor had been the director of the AEGD program for many years prior to when I took over. And she had done an amazing job of organizing the program. And really, it was an impressive how much time and dedication and effort that Dr. Mary Bogert put into the program is almost beyond words. She had created probably a program organized second to none in the country. So I took over a machine that was running very smoothly. But let's just say that while I was there as an incoming new director, things were kind of on the process of change. So I can't tell you what it's like now. I can tell you that outside forces were kind of acting upon it, and I don't know where it stands, and I don't know what its future is. So unfortunately, I have some friends in the school and I talk with them, but I really don't talk much about the program. I can just tell you it used to be a very well-run program, and I did everything I could to keep it that way.
Is Mary still there?
Mary is not. She retired. But I think that, again, she was an outstanding lecturer and educator. If you want to have her on your show for something, you should, because she's a great speaker.
Well, let her know. Because a lot of kids, when they're in dental school, the yearly annual questions on Dental Town start flooding in. Should I stay and become a specialist another 3 to 5 years? Should I do an AEGD residency at some place like Temple? So if some young kid was listening to this, a quarter of our listeners are still in dental school. If they're listening to you right now and they're saying, Alex, do you think I should do a residency? What would you say?
My answer is yes, absolutely. I think that when you get out of dental school, you've learned a lot, but your hand skills and everything are not quite there. I think that some people they're exceptionally gifted. Let's face it. Some people in your class, you'd want them to work on you, at any point in time, and you'd have no reservations. But I think all of it, pretty much most everybody else, which is about 90% of us, we're good, but we could use an extra year of refinement, not just hand skills wise, but learning. We can get to see different procedures, learn from different faculty members that we haven't encountered before. So everything put together, it's great for your skills as far as your personal abilities are concerned, treating patients, but it's also a lot of great education that you get for free. Hey, you're getting paid to learn. So I think that it's a great deal. You're getting a ton of extra education. Then they also, put an asterisk there, depending on the program. You might have some excellent programs. I think I heard that VCU was an outstanding program at one point or another. But yeah, you're learning, you're getting paid. So to me, it's a great deal. Some people might say, well, you're not getting paid all that much. Well, you know what? The education's worth it in a lot of cases in an AEGD or GPR.
You also got your FAGD.
I did.
Why, to someone listening right now, why was it important for you to join the Academy of General Dentistry, be a member for 5 years, take 500 hours of continuing education, and take an all-day exam to get your fellowship in the AEGD? Why would you do that to yourself?
So I think the Academy of General Dentistry is a wonderful organization. It's dedicated to continuing education, so continuing our learning, which we all should do. It's also, depending on which state membership you have, it offers different tracks of education within the whole organization itself. Pennsylvania Academy of General Dentistry is excellent. I've been with a peak, basically an educational track with the same group of people for years now. So you get to meet these people at semi-annual meetings. You get to meet them. You basically make friends with them. So not just the education, but to form a network within your own state or within your own region. And so you're learning, you're growing as a professional, you're making connections. You're meeting great new people, and you're making friends. So I think it is very much worthwhile to go into the Academy of General Dentistry. Pick up your fellowship and keep on learning. Learn from people. You get to ask them, hey, what do you do in this situation? Or how would you run your practice? Your practice informatics, or pick a subject within a practice. I think it's great.
Where I posted your book on Dental Town, Don't Go to Dental School, by Alessandro, Bartoletti, DMD, FAGD, everybody was like, finally. Someone said, bravo. They said, thank God for this guy. Finally, someone gets it. But then someone posted, I have an assistant who wants to be an orthodontist. I have really tried my best to inform him about the current situation, but oh well, really sad. The Las Vegas newspaper had an article because there was one kid who, after 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of dental school, 3 years ortho school, topped $1 million in student loans. Yep. And it's like, oh my God. Now, I've had two assistants. Kelly and Elena went off to dental school. I have an assistant right now that left and went to hygiene school. What would you say to your own dental assistant who says, man, Alessandro, I want to be like you. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be your dental assistant. I'm going to Temple. So
what I'm going to say is that another category of people who have a leg up with respect to, say, your average college grad who wants to go to dental school, because assistants or hygienists have worked in the field. So they've seen dentistry. They've witnessed it. They know the terminology. They know the mouth. They've worked in the mouth. They know how things kind of generally operate and feel. I think that they are another group of people who have, like I said, a leg up, and they probably should go to dental school if that is their desire, because they know the business. They have an idea of what's going on. So in my book, I even mentioned the fact that, assistants and hygienists, probably form a group of people who should go to dental school. I think that because of their experience, they know what they're going to need to do to be successful.
Another townie, one of my favorite ones. I'm a big fan of his post, Scott Voyers. He says he'd be interested to see what alternative career paths the author suggests versus dentistry.
Well, to me, that becomes more of a personal question of folks who are considering dental school. I mean, do they have other things that they love to do? Pick a passion of theirs. So I can't tell you that, instead of going to dental school, go to medical school. That might not be your ball of wax. Instead go to, some sort of financial business. Again, that might not be your ball of wax. I can't tell you specifically, if you're not going to go to dental school, everybody's going to get funneled into another industry, just one specific industry. It's going to be dependent upon what every individual likes to do or wants to do. If instead of dentistry, they want to go to hygiene school, all right, maybe. I mean, you won't need to take out as many loans, certainly. And you'll certainly find employment, or at least, you'll have a decent chance of finding it. So maybe you can do that as an alternative. You can go to vet school, and maybe you can go to med school. Grudgingly, maybe law school. I don't know, but find something that you love to do and do it, or try to find a way to do it. That would be my suggestion.
I thought the other interesting comments was that dental school is a new law school. And then someone replied, yeah, but you can't attend night classes. I mean, my gosh, law schools. Law schools, you could, there's evening classes for law school. You can go to law school on the side. It hasn't got that way in dentistry yet. But do you think dental school is becoming the new law school?
It might be. Let's face it, they've opened up a whole bunch of them in the past 15 years. And who knows, maybe they'll start offering night classes. Although there are certain schools in certain parts of different cities that I might be a little hesitant to go and either be a student at night in those schools or teach in those schools at night, because quite frankly, it's not all that safe. But who knows? I think that we are maybe heading in that direction, as an educational in the educational part of the profession, maybe.
Huh. So, what are you passionate about now? So we talked about your book, the AEGD, Navy, everything. What are you passionate about today? Now that all that's behind you, and you're still young, you got kids. What in dentistry is it got you passionate? Now I know you just became a certified fitness trainer, and I know that on Dental Town, some of the biggest threads are how to stay in shape. Many dentists have said that they were fighting burnout, disease, depression, and then all of a sudden they started working out. Why did you go back and get your CFT, certified fitness trainer?
Yeah, I just got it at the end of April, so it's very recent. I did it because it's another way I think I can help people. As far as passion is concerned, it's always been in general about trying to find ways to help others. A dentist who is a fitness trainer got me into it. Dr. Uchi Udiadu. He speaks around the country. And he's a great guy. He's a very interesting speaker, very engaging, keeps you on your toes. I thought that was fantastic. And like other dentists, I've struggled with that, with fitness over the course of my lifetime. There are times where you're sedentary, you don't move much. Maybe sometimes some people have suffered an injury. They can't, you injure your knee, you injure your arm, you do something where you can't quite be as active. And then your body kind of responds negatively. You pick up the pounds pretty easy. I'm trying to find a way to help others in another manner, and I found that this is probably an excellent way to do it. Help others stay as in shape as they can, because staying healthy and fit will it may not prolong your life by a tremendous amount of time. It may make a difference, but it may not do, longevity wise, a tremendous amount. But for your quality of life, I think it's going to do quite a bit.
And so who'd you say your mentor was? Uchi?
I know his name is Dr. Uchi Udiatu. He's a Canadian dentist.
UCH. How do you spell that?
It's UCHEODIATU.
And Uchi Odiato is he is the one who motivated you to do this. So how did you meet him? Was he in the Navy too?
No, he was actually a speaker at an Academy of General Dentistry meeting.
Yeah, we had him on the show. He was number 62, Physical Fitness for Dentists with Dr. Uchi Odiatu, podcast 62. And what did you learn from him, or what was the big takeaway from Uchi?
Well, the big takeaway was there were a number of them. I mean, but it was kind of what you eat is critical to how you perform. Get your proper rest, which is tough for all of us. Let's face it. With all the electronic bombardment that we all have, it's very easy to get lost in your cell phone with a Netflix with pick something to distract us. So staying in shape, trying to keep yourself active, eating right, and getting enough rest. So those are all important things that I think that I took away from his particular presentation to us.
I really enjoyed his book with him and his wife, The Miracle of Health: Simple Solutions, Extraordinary Results, with Uchi Odiatu and his wife, Carrie Odiatu. I'm sure he should have taken her last name. I'm sure. I don't know how Carrie could have had a more difficult name. I didn't even recognize it when you said it, and he's my friend. Love the guy. I'll never forget one of the patients that I had the most love for, the most respect. It was early in my practice, and I got done working on it. I've been working on it for an hour or so, and my back was like hobbled over, and I was stretching and everything. And, just some old farmer from the Midwest who retired in Phoenix. He went to Home Depot, came back, and put me up a pull-up bar above my in my back break room. And he said, Doc, he said, every time your back feels like that, I want you to just come back here and hang on it. And at the time, I had two other associates. My gosh, it was amazing how just that little silly thing there, none of us could do a pull-up. And within like a month or two, we were all up to like 7 or 10 pull-ups. And you're talking about a minute in between, a patient or something like that. I've always thought someone should do that. You should make an online CE course of how you can exercise at a dental office with nothing other than a dental office. No weights, no Stairmaster, no swimming pool. Just little things like that, because the one thing I want to really beat into these little kids' heads is that I didn't use loops like I should have. And I leaned over for direct vision and totally jacked up my neck. I did it for, I did it for 20 years. And it took a lot of yoga and a lot of therapy and a lot of chiropractors and to just get the pain to go away. And if I could, and a lot of people think, well, you get beat up if you're a fireman or a policeman, but you're not going to get beat up if you're a dentist, but you're absolutely going to get beat up being a dentist.
Beat up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I definitely understand your feeling. I've been using loops for a few years because I had a Navy dentist tell me, your eyes are going to burn out if you don't, kid. So you may as well get them and get used to them. So after he told me that, I started to get used to them. And so now that's all I use. And if I don't have them on me, I don't even want to see a patient because I really don't know if I could work without them. As for posture and that's always tough. We have a lot of patients who are kids, so you'd like to sit up straight and have great posture when you're working on them. But maybe they're wiggling, maybe they're a little bit smaller, so you have to get in a little bit closer to work on them. It's tricky.
Yeah, and it can cost you a lot of money, because if I have a friend who has a drop down microscope because he can't bend his neck over anymore, so he's got to do dentistry like a submarine or looking in a periscope. And it really, really slows you down when you can't bend your head forward and look direct, and that's his only choice. His only choice is to hang it up or to sit up straight and look straight ahead into a microscope and look down. And then there was the head of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins said in an article I read a couple of years ago, someone posted on Dental Town, that with the exception of schizophrenia, any medication you take for your mind, like for depression or whatever, does better with 40 minutes of exercise a day. And that every single, let's say it didn't apply to schizophrenia, but every other mental disorder medication you can take, pharmaceutical, performed far better if you took it and exercised 40 minutes a day. Yeah, absolutely. Exercise does wonders. Exercise does wonders. And I think that you had a great idea, to create some sort of a course, for the dental profession, how to exercise, in your office without anything special. I think that'd be a great course to create and give. What do you do? I mean, do you ever jump down and do, I always thought about this as carpal tunnel. A friend of mine is a carpal tunnel fanatic. And whenever he hears about carpal tunnel, he's like, why don't they just fall to the floor, put their hands flat, and do 10 push-ups twice a day? I mean, when's the last, do you think some of that is true? I mean, do you think someone who did, 10 push-ups at the beginning and end of the day would have far less chance of carpal tunnel syndrome just by putting that pressure flat on the hand, or how much? I think that part of our carpal tunnel problem in this country may be due to these cell phones that we have and the fact that we're always playing on them. I mean, think about it, how much you do texting wise. We never used to do that. I think even 15 years ago, if I sent one text, that would be a lot. We've just become so dependent upon cell phones and that technology. And some people, I can't believe how quick they text. I mean, it's like lightning on their phones. But I think it's not just dentistry that's doing it. I think it's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're doing now repetitively with our fingers and hands, which ends up creating carpal tunnel. So maybe not touching your phones, keeping away from them, maybe trying to gently stretch your hands out could help. But mainly stay off your phone, because I think that's what's doing it. That's interesting. And also an ergonomic chair is got to be better, sitting in something doesn't hurt your back. But like in an average week, how many, name some various physical things you might do while you're at work in a dental office? Like in an average week. Well, depending on your office. I mean, our office is an 1855 house, so it is very historical. I walk up and down the steps. So there's steps to the basement. There's steps to go upstairs. So I walk up and down the steps. That keeps me moving. So you can do that. We're situated on a beautiful acre of land. So I can walk around the property, during lunch, just take a walk. Even just taking a walk around the town too, is a nice thing to do when the weather cooperates, of course. But so you can do that. I help John and his wife Melissa. They keep the grounds. I mean, they do almost all of their own yard work on the property. So we're out there weeding. We'll be doing that. We'll be cutting one of the bushes up so that it doesn't overgrow out towards the street. We'll do different things like that to stay active, and that certainly helps. So I want to switch gears completely. You're in with a partner. You guys, you're both partners. 50% of marriages fail, and that's when you have your lover, children, family, all these sticky glue things. And now you're married to a male dentist, John. Is that as high risk as marriage? Would you say that getting married, if half of those marriages fail, that getting a partner, half of them fail? Do you see any correlations that maybe he has a good marriage or you have a good marriage? Or what advice would you give on a young kid? Because the thing that scares me this time of year is how many kids graduate and they go back to work with their mom who's a dentist or dad's a dentist. And since it's family, no contract. Just like when you got married, you didn't have a prenuptial agreement, did you? No. Yeah. So they go work for their mom or dad, and it's all
Right.
understood that, when mom retires, this is my practice. Then she finds out 7 years later that mom wants to sell it to her for $1.2 million. And she's like, well, mom, when I got here, it was only doing 700, but me working, we built it up to 1.2. And now I doubled your practice, and now I have to pay for it. And you're my mom.
Right.
And I'm like, and I tell them 1,000 times, never get married without a prenuptial agreement, but I didn't have one. And never ever marry another dentist without a prenuptial agreement with an exit strategy spelled out. And I solved that problem. I just didn't do it. But what advice do you have for marrying another dentist that you're not living with it? And what advice do you give them?
So, as far as becoming a partner in a practice, what I would say is you should probably be an associate there for a while. That way you understand how the practice works, the rhythms of the practice, the people in the practice. You don't want to just run into a partnership within a month or two, sign everything and then realize that it's not a good fit. It's not going to work.
So how long of a courtship did you recommend? First of all, how long did you date your wife before you pulled the string and married her? And how long did you date your partner before you bought in and married him?
Well, two different arrangements there, but my wife, we dated for about 12 months before we got engaged.
Okay.
So it was about a year. For as far as the practice is concerned, and John, I was his associate for, let's see, wow, I've got to go back and do almost 2 years.
Okay.
So it was about 2 years, and we were comfortable with each other enough that at that point, we went ahead. We'd already started discussing partnership and all the different steps, but at 2 years we pushed ahead and became partners.
So did you go get a law firm that specializes in dental partners to draw up an arrangement, or did you just use a standard any lawyer?
No, I mean, I chose a lawyer who I knew who was very good at business law. And my partner, his lawyer, was also good at business law. And of course, the two lawyers knew each other and liked each other. So, at that point, you have basically what you had were two people, me as an associate and him at that point as the complete owner, who got along, who had philosophies that were congruent, very similar, very workable, and then two lawyers who weren't at each other's throats. So you had a whole cooperative, a cooperative situation occurring, and it was the best of both worlds in that case. So everybody got along. There were very few sticking points, if any. I can't remember any, quite frankly. And so, it was a wonderful arrangement and it worked tremendously well.
So are you guys on top of it at the same time, the same hours, or do you try to spread your hours so you have more availability?
No, same hours.
And do you do totally different procedures? So like maybe one likes endo and one likes implants, or same hours, same procedures?
Yep.
Yeah. And what type of clinical dentistry are you most passionate about today? What's got you excited in clinical dentistry?
The new thing that I'm excited about, which we don't use all that often, but I'm finding myself using it more, is silver diamine fluoride. Mm-hmm. I think that the applications for pediatric patients, which we have many, many of, is enormous, especially for ones that might be afraid of the dentist, or they have so much stuff going on that you just want to get it under some sort of control before you tackle it piece by piece. But also the application for geriatric dentistry is huge. I mean, you have older folks who have, their saliva output is either zero or very close to it because of medication, because of age, or because manual dexterity. They can't brush their teeth well or at all. You're just trying to keep everything as stable as possible for these nice people, and try to keep the costs as low as possible for these nice people. And so I think that it's a great service. And so I'm very excited by it, and I try to use it as much as I can.
Now, do you take any state Medicaid for the poor?
Not.
Because I have noticed now, some dentists are getting very business savvy. I'm out here in Phoenix where there's a lot of retirees, there's a lot of nursing homes, there's several near me. And on the way home from work, these dentists will take, a backpack with gloves and silver diamine fluoride and stop in these nursing homes where in America, 4.5% of Americans will finish out their life in a nursing home. And don't worry if you're a man, because it's almost all women. And they get one root surface carry a month for every month in a nursing home. So by the time great grandma's been in there a year, she's got 12 root surface cavities, and they will just stop by and at the end of the day and apply these. And Medicaid and doesn't pay much money, but my gosh, even if they pay $20 a tooth, if she's been there a year, she needed 12, and you go across the hall and do 12 more. And they like elder people. It's at the end of the day, it's low stress. I think silver diamine fluoride could solve probably one of the most embarrassing problems in America, and that is all the people in nursing homes that are sitting there. When I go to those nursing homes, what do you do? Most of them are missing dexterity, muscle mass, and so they're missing a lot of teeth. So they only want soft food. So they serve them macaroni and cheese, cottage cheese, mashed potatoes. It's all mush, apple pie, and what do you do when you're 80? You love to eat. You're not out jet skiing. You're not out skiing. And so they love to eat. It's all carbs. It's all mush. And their teeth just go down a drain. And silver diamine fluoride could massively reverse that, stop that, slow it down. And it's very profitable because it's the difference between doing an anterior crown and 10 anterior crowns. I mean, it doesn't take you 10 times longer to do 10 upper crowns than it does to do one crown. And most of these people, how long would it take you to go in and apply silver diamine fluoride to the average grandpa in a nursing home near you?
Probably not long at all. I think it'd be a great service.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about silver diamine fluoride. And what's even more funny about it, it's nothing new. They've been using silver to treat diseases for over a century. So besides silver diamine fluoride, I can't believe we went over an hour, but any other clinical dentistry things you're passionate about?
I can't say that I have. I mean, I enjoy dentistry as a whole, but to me, it's more about the people, getting to know the people that you're taking care of, and enjoying them, developing relationships with the people, and in our area, especially with the families. You can really develop close bonds with some families, and that means a lot. So to me, it's not just about, the nuts and bolts that we do, but it's really about the lives that we touch.
And last but not least, with these kids coming out of school with $284,000 student loans, this is what we started the deal on. A lot of them think that to be a great dentist like you, they got to buy a CEREC machine, a CBCT, and a Photona laser. 3 purchases, they doubled their student loan debt. Do you think those 3 major purchases are necessary to do quality family dentistry in Pennsylvania?
No, not at all. No. I mean, you can do great dentistry without super tricked out technology. I think that you should grow your practice into that eventually, if that's what you want to do. But don't start out doing that, because that's potentially a road to ruin, or at least to a lot of stomach ulcers. Yeah.
And any parting advice you want to give to any of these kids?
If you're a student out there, if you're in dental school, what I'm going to tell you is, when you get out of dental school, work hard. Find places. Some people say even advocate finding 2 or 3 part-time positions. That way you can kind of see how different practices operate, and then decide what you want to do for yourself eventually, should you want to become, a practice owner. I say that maybe not a bad idea, but whatever you do, work hard. Keep your nose to the wheel. Keep on pushing and trucking, because you're going to have to. Unfortunately, with the loans that you have, you're going to have to work hard to pay them off, and then to live. Don't live a super lifestyle. Don't go out and buy yourself a brand new BMW. Live modestly at first. You're going to want to control the costs and establish yourself, and just be true to the people that you treat. Treat them fairly.
Now, were you born in Bologna, or were you born in the United States?
I was born in Pittsburgh.
You were born in Pittsburgh, and is I always think of your area as a large Mennonite population, large Amish population, Pennsylvania Dutch. Is there a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch around your town?
Yes, there are. In fact, we have 2 hitching posts outside of our practice for patients to park their horse and buggies and come on in.
Oh my God, that is so cool. So there's a big Mennonite Amish population in Kansas where I grew up. And and last time I was home visiting my mom, we were out there driving to a friend's house, and I saw the Dutch, the Amish wagon, and the dad and the horses and all that. And you'll never believe it when I tell you this. There was the most adorable little girl sitting on the back, and guess what she had in her hand?
What's that? Yes. You know what? I do believe it, because we have that here too.
And I'm like, this is so adorable. Her dad is riding a horse and buggy, and the little girl's back there in a full bonnet dress and an iPhone. And I just thought that is just adorable. But hey, thank you for having the guts to write that book. Thank you for warning people. I mean, you thought about this for many, many years before you wrote the book. I did. And most people would be too shy and not want to stand up and say anything. And thanks for having the guts to write a book on something you feel strongly about. And I agree with it wholeheartedly. And it's been an honor to podcast you today.
Hey, it's been an honor to be with you. Thank you so much, Howard.
All right. Have a rockin' hot day.